Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stories of the Extraordinary. I am your host, Patrick Slane.
And I'm Lily Diaz.
And I'm Ryder Harmon.
And today we have an extraordinary guest with us, Senator Thom Tillis. Senator, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Welcome, or greetings from Washington.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. It's a real pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, the first question, Senator, correct this figure if it is mistaken, but when you were a child, you moved around a lot, roughly 20 times. How would you say that constant change of environment played a role in molding the person and the politician you are today?
Oh, I think it played a huge role. I mean, it really wired me into just becoming comfortable in unfamiliar settings pretty quickly. I went to 4 different elementary schools on 5 different occasions. I went to 3 different middle schools, and so virtually every year I had new classmates, left old friends, met new friends. And for me, I responded very positively. I have 5 brothers and sisters, and they all had very different reactions to it. But for me, I was blessed with really just gaining a skill and becoming friends with people quickly and learning how to deal in unfamiliar settings.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really cool. So in politics, it can seem like there are a lot of topics. There's the economy, the environment, abortion, foreign policy, and the list can seem endless and intimidating. Does it not seem realistic that anyone can be an expert on everything? So what advice would you give to the students who are aspiring on serving in the government in a position like yours, but do not think that they can grasp and fully understand all the issues well enough?
Well, I think you touched on the key to someone being successful in any kind of public service where you're making policies is to pick a couple of areas where you truly can become a subject matter expert, and then identify others who are the subject matter experts, maybe in areas that will not be your major, they're kind of your minor, and rely on them for advice and education, but pick things that are personally of interest to you or things that you just want to ramp up your knowledge and become an expert there, and then they will look to you in the same way you look to them. There is no such thing as someone who can be an expert in everything. You're either going to be, if you're a mile wide, you're going to be an inch deep, but to be an effective person in public policy formulation, you truly do need to be an expert so that when you get in front of that town hall meeting or you get in front of that legislative committee meeting, you can clearly demonstrate a command of the subject matter. And you'll see invariably it's those kinds of legislators who are the most productive and most likely to get bills passed.
That's great. So, Senator, lots of our students during the fall, spring, and even the summer end up with some sort of internship, again, for the student who wants to open doors to be open to them for a career in politics. So what sorts of internships should they be looking into getting involved with, and who should they talk to about acquiring them?
Well, a lot of it first, I think it depends on to the extent they already have an area that they feel like they'd learn. Some people just want to get in and find an area they're interested in. Others may already have an area where they have some passion. So I would say, take a look at what your interests are, and if it's an internship, either with a state legislator down in North Carolina or a congressional office, then, approach the office where perhaps your philosophy is most closely aligned with the member that you may like to seek an internship with. I think also be flexible. Well, I think what you find on the one hand, you may want to state your preference and try and go after a specific internship, but I think there are a lot of opportunities once you get into an internship to grow into a role just based on the energy and the skills that you bring. A lot of times it can be like a pickup game. You may go into an internship thinking you're going to do one thing and then find a completely different path that you'll take. So I think be flexible, but start out by knowing a lot about the members that you may be seeking an internship with, so that you know that you're most likely to get involved in something that you're personally interested in, because that's where you're going to get the most out of it.
Now, being your first term as senator, can you share with us some specific goals you want to get accomplished for the state of North Carolina, and how you and your associates are going to make those goals a reality?
Well, I was very pleased to get all of my committee assignments. I requested Armed Services, Veterans Affairs, Agriculture. I'm also appointed to Judiciary and a Special Committee on Aging. My focus is primarily on fiscal policy, working on things that will improve the economy. So I'm looking at things that are probably the hardest for the average citizen to understand, but I believe are the most impactful, things like regulatory reform in all kinds of, in all varieties, whether it's agriculture, environmental regulatory reform, workplace regulatory reform. There's just a number of areas that I think if we look at what we're trying to accomplish as a regulatory body, but do it in the leanest, most productive way possible, it'll have enormously positive impact on economic activity. And once we get the economy back to a truly sustained recovery mode, we're not in it now. We're more or less just kind of walking along. We're not back to a trot or a run. Then you start tackling things like tax reform and a number of other things. Trade policy is another area that I'm very, very interested in. So I'm going to focus a lot on how we can get regulations back to something that makes sense, that promotes economic development, that we do our job in terms of getting, making sure the environment is as good as it can possibly be, making sure workplaces are as safe as they can possibly be, but doing it in a way that's not stifling to economic growth. And I think if we focus on those things, we can solve a lot of problems on fairly short order.
All right. Now, Senator, when we had Kay Hagan on the program, we did ask her the same question. It can seem very discouraging to many young voters that Republicans and Democrats so few times, if ever, really look like they're working together. Now, how do you suggest that these two parties start to work together?
I think have politicians stop talking about it and start doing it. I can point back. This is not a hypothetical in my case. When I came in to my role as Speaker of the House, we had a Democratic governor, and we did not have supermajorities in the North Carolina House, and yet we were successful with getting 1/3 of the Democratic caucus, 18 out of 52 members, to vote with us on one or more of 11 veto overrides of a governor who shared the party affiliation with the minority. That is almost unheard of in state legislatures. What you have to do is recognize that people rightfully come to a legislative body with their own worldview. It'll either be a liberal worldview or a conservative worldview. But you would be amazed with the number of opportunities to check your ideology at the door and come up with centrist issues, or issues that centrist people, left of center and right of center, can agree that we can make progress on. Maybe not as much progress as I may want to make as a conservative, and not as much progress as someone may make with a more liberal worldview. But I think that we over-politicize a lot of policy decisions that, if we're just honest with ourselves, put the citizens and the voters in front and put our political parties in second to it, then you can get a lot more things done.
That's great. So, Senator, this is a kind of a deep question. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your life, and explain to us why?
I think to me, the people ask me if I enjoy this job, and I tell them I enjoy it about half the time. I find it rewarding 100% of the time. And the reason I find it rewarding is when I see how we can help an individual who is somehow just not able to have their voice heard. They're dealing with some government agency and they've got a legitimate request, but for some reason they just can't seem to get through the bureaucratic challenges that are placed in front of them. So it's really working. I love doing constituent service. I love really being able to point to things that we're doing that are having an impact on people's lives. Helping veterans now is something that's particularly rewarding, because there are so many challenges with the VA, and helping them get the support that they need. So to me, it's not all the things that you would see on TV, the bills that we're voting on. Those things are important, but what really I find the most rewarding, and the thing that that makes me willing to deal with all the baggage that comes with being an elected official is when you're literally having a positive impact on these individuals' lives who sometimes think that it's impossible to get anything done and that anybody in Washington cares about them. And to me, that's the thing that gives me the enthusiasm and the energy to come back every day and do what I do.
And we certainly appreciate that, Senator. Now, would you like to give a shout out to our students here at High Point University, as well as your family and your friends and your fellow associates?
Absolutely. Well, first off, North Carolina, I love North Carolina. I appreciate all the people. I tell everybody since I've been elected, I appreciate everyone who supported me. I hope to make them proud, and to everyone who didn't support me, I hope to make them wish that they had, because my job now that I'm the U.S. Senator is to represent all North Carolinians, regardless of their ideology and their political leanings, and I hope that I establish a reputation that shows that I'm good for that commitment, that I'll do great things over the next 6 years.
Excellent. Well, Senator, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to sit down and talk with us. It was an extremely rewarding experience for me and my fellow co-hosts and all of us here at High Point University.
Well, thank you, and to the students of High Point, you're going to a wonderful institution. It's setting you up for a great future, and congratulations on all the work that you guys do.
All right, Senator.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you have a nice rest of the day, all right?
Great. Y'all too.
All
Bye-bye.
right,
Bye.
Bye.